Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm looking at briefly Coloma New Prospects, which is the expansion and reprint for the original game Coloma. And this also has a solo mode designed by friend of the channel, Will the Hungry Gamer. And some disclaimers real quick, more than usual. Number one, I've only played this game a couple of times. I got it right before I'm about to leave for a gaming retreat this weekend, the Level Up one in Connecticut. And the campaign's going to end before I have time to get back. So I just had enough time to play through the game a few times, and I'm going to give them some thoughts on it. But I wasn't able to do my usual preferred thing of showing you an entire play of the game. And also, as usual, we don't accept any compensation for any of our crowdfunding coverage, but Will is, like I said, a friend of mine and a friend of the channel. And he designed the solo mode for this, so there is the potential for bias there. And certainly I'm looking at this because Will designed it. I didn't have any interest in the game otherwise before that. But so far, I think for a solo Euro, this is a pretty quick playing and slick production. Let's look at some key things in the design. So first, maybe the most unique thing about the game is your action selection. So how the turns work is you have 5 rounds each in 3 years. So you go through the 5 rounds for each of the 3 years. And in each round, this little disc rotates, which is going to give you an event that's giving you consistent generation of different resources. And then kind of the core moment, every player would secretly select where they want to put their little prospector at the same time. And then whichever place has the most people gets this little X here covering up this main bonus action you get to take. So instead you get this X and you're kind of more out of luck for whatever you picked. So this is kind of like the core action selection system in the game. What are you going to actually do in your turn? And there's a bunch of cool things going on here that I enjoy. First of all, the fact that this little disc is rotating is going to take away actions sometimes, replacing them with this, I think it's called the Barker action instead. So that already kind of changes the value of the actions for each turn of the game. But then there's a lot of nice predictability in how they've done the solo mode. So first of all, in the new version, you always have a little person one clockwise from the current Barker action. So you know that's more likely to be the most selected spot. But then you also have this little non-player thing that I think was inspired by Rado, where you flip 2 cards and you know that this non-player figure is not going to those spots. So here I would know with some surety that 1 and 3 would be less likely to be the most crowded. And then after you've picked where you're going to go, you pick the actual place. Oh, in this case, they would go to the 2 as well. Then finally, you've got your actual AI opponent. So these ones don't take actions. They're just kind of filling up space. And this is just a simple die roll, but the 6 result is going to prefer to go to the space counterclockwise from where the current Barker spot is. So again, you have a little bit of predictability, and I like this, because it's not stopping you too much from taking the actions you want to take, from trying to build up your engine the way you want. So it works pretty well. It takes only a moment, doesn't get in your way, and it's just quick to resolve these things. And then a nice addition in the new expansion is that, as far as I understand it, when you busted in the old version, you got nothing, pretty much. But now you're going to be moving along these little tracks each time you bust, getting free horses and victory points and other things. And you can even improve the benefits by putting these new waterfalls in play and getting kind of a shortcut and also an extra benefit. And then there are locations you can build that will, each time you bust, kind of move to the right and give you a bigger payout when you finally trigger them. So not having played the original game, I think this works really well. I think there's a nicer tension between busting sometimes being good for you, sometimes being a goal, but also taking away the action that you might have preferred in that moment. And I should mention the cards as well, because this game has both that action selection thing and then also a little bit of a tableau building feel to it, because you're putting these cards out, and at least in the couple games I played, I got some nice combos where when I triggered certain actions on the action thing, if I could even get them to go multiple times a turn, I would get a bunch of cool bonuses from them. And I think these decks are bigger than in the original game, 20 instead of 16 cards, so there should be a lot more options for kind of combos and strategies to go with these. Other things about the game are just fine for my taste. I don't love Euros that have a really big point salad feel. This kind of goes into that territory a bit, but other people might love this. So for example, you can collect horses on your board that let you move your wagon with certain actions. And then as you pass over these spaces, you get bonuses for moving there. If you get to these boom towns, you can get a bonus for being the first one there. And then you can put out these little tents, these camps on these colored sections, which will earn you endgame victory points. Again, not my favorite, not my preference. I like a really big focus on engine building in Euros usually, and this one feels more like you're having a lot of options to go different ways and build your points different way each game, which can also be cool. The game also has this shootout mechanic where you can put your dudes, they're called, these little meeples, on spaces. And then outlaws are building up based on player actions, which the AI does kind of go into pretty well. And whether you beat them or not, if you contributed the most people, then you get a bonus. It reminds me of other Euros where you're sort of like defending a town together or something like Hadrian's Wall. In the competitive sense, you don't want to be like the worst one off. And again, I think the solo bot works great for this. Like all the stuff that you want to worry about, it's going to compete with you on. And there's a few other interesting elements. There's a gold market where gold nuggets can become worth less or more money. That doesn't feel quite as interesting in the solo mode because there's only you and the other player kind of pulling them off and putting them back on. But spending your gold for money or for its own unique abilities or holding on to it for the end of the game, I think all that works pretty well too. And finally, just to focus for a moment on the actual AI, I think Will did a great job. Now, again, I'm biased, but he did a good job of, first of all, making the AI compete with you on things. Second of all, randomizing them enough so you're never quite sure what action they're going to take. You're never quite sure like exactly which spaces will burst and bust. But also, he simplified a whole bunch of stuff. Like, they don't care which cards they build. Instead, they just put their dude meeples on different spaces around the board, and they get automatic victory points whenever those events trigger. So it's like a really clean system to track. They also put out tents like you. They also get barrels like you. They also fight in the shootout like you. But the rules are all very simple. I think what I'm working off of, they sent me like a 3-page Google Doc. That isn't super organized or anything yet, and even that was enough for me to jump in and start playing the solo. Again, having never played the base game before and having to deal with like expansion materials in a very short amount of time. So far, again, with very limited experience and with some potential bias here, I think the solo mode works great. And yeah, this seems like a pretty cool Euro. I mean, go watch the other videos. Again, I'm sort of like the uneducated like plebe over here trying to explain what I think so far. I'm sure the other videos on the channel and people who've reviewed the original game will have more in-detailed and in-depth thoughts than I do. But yeah, Coloma seems pretty good. Is it for my taste? I'm not a big solo Euro gamer, but I did enjoy my 2 plays so far. It's again one where like I felt like I was doing my cool stuff and I was building up my fun things and getting combos with my cards without anything else really getting in the way. And man, it played fast. I think even my second game, having again barely learned the rules, was like 40 minutes for the entire thing. So yeah, it's the kind of thing that I could see myself enjoying as a solo Euro. Not necessarily my favorite type of game, but I think they did a nice job here. So again, that's Coloma with the new Prospects expansion, with the solo mode. It's like 3 things all at once. I'm doing my best with it, and I got to go get ready for the level up retreat. So good gaming, everyone, and I will see you at the next stop.